Hi, my name is Megan Claire, and this is my ice cream forecast. So up today, what I'm going to be talking about is my final forecast, my holistic final prediction, seasonality, location, and any unknown changes, and the level of certainty. So the forecast for each month, so I have January 2025 as 10 gallons, February as 15, March as 20, April as 50, and then from May to July, I have as 500 gallons. Oh, sorry, May to August, I have it as 500 gallons, and then September is going to be 50, October is going to be 20, November is going to be 15, and December is going to be 10. So this is my predicted gallons of ice cream per month, and it's about 1 gallon of ice cream equals approximately 32 scoops. So I feel like it leaves us very prepared for the summer months and for possible popularity in the off season. So the reason that to start out with January through April, there's not as much, it's because it's going to be a gradual intake of like inventory and like food. So then basically when we get to the busier months of summer, we have enough food, we have enough ice cream to go for a very long time. And then, once it falls off after August, then you slowly start getting less and less because people stop coming as often to get ice cream because we get into those colder months and people aren't exactly into wanting ice cream during those times. Now, the naive method is basically a method in which you can calculate or forecast how much inventory or how much you're going to need of something. So the strengths that this method has is it's very simple. It's very easy to compute. It doesn't take a lot. And it's also very easy for quick estimates. Again, it doesn't take a lot of time, and it's good for specific data and easy for non-season based data, which is the issue because ice cream is particularly based off of seasons. And it has a good starting point to see if you can advance to something more complex because it's very simple, it's very basic. Now, the weaknesses of this are it's not as accurate as other methods, and it tends to under forecast or over forecast with certain trends. And one little spike or uptick can throw off the whole projection for the following year. The cumulative mean method, basically this method has strengths in it does not let random noise or outliers in the forecast impact the forecast. So it basically doesn't let any numbers that could possibly skew off the whole entire prediction. It doesn't let that really impact it as much. And it takes every data point into consideration, whereas the naive method doesn't really do that. And it's easier to calculate because it uses the historical mean. Now, with its weaknesses, it doesn't respond to recent trends or structural changes in the data, which again doesn't really help with ice cream because it keeps on moving. Some people might be more into it at points, some people might not be. It's the same thing with like when froyo becomes popular, ice cream goes down, and same stuff like that. And then it doesn't work well with data that moves with time because it only uses the most recent shift with long past data. Now we have the moving average method. So this method has a strength in reducing the random fluctuations of demand that can occur. And it drops old data points as new ones come in. So it basically gets rid of old data points that have nothing to do with your current status and can basically bring in the new ones, which makes it better. And it is also very easy to use and widely used across supply chains. Again, this is also another good one because with its popularity, it's easier to use. And if it's widely used across supply chains, a lot of people will know how to use it, and it's not something that you have to relearn that might be difficult. Now, the weakness is it can still lag behind certain trends or changes that can occur, which you'll see throughout all three of these methods. It doesn't really hold up with keeping up to date with certain trends or changes in data points and stuff like that. They all have their own issues with trying to keep up with that. And the issue with this also is it has to store recent data to calculate the next forecast, which means you have to have more space, which is like a little nitpicky thing, but still an issue that can happen with this method. And it doesn't take into account seasonality and works best for stable data. Again, with ice cream, you have a lot of seasonality that impacts it. So being able to have a method that can calculate that like seasonality would be better, but none of these methods do, except the naive method, going back to it, is the better method for ice cream because the way it's set up is it allows for fluctuations, not as much, but still, since it goes off of the last month, it kind of makes it easier to calculate with ice cream. So my final predictions is the naive method. Like I said, while easiest and has room for so much error, it will be one that can help with changing trends and take it into account. Again, like I said previously, it has more room for fluctuation versus the other two methods. So I deemed it as the easiest method to use to calculate how much ice cream we will need. And then again, seasonality always plays a very big role in whether an ice cream shop is busy or not. And this is something I took very much into consideration when making my predictions. Because especially being based in Bar Harbor, you have to always take into account the weather, the tourist, all that different stuff, which is what we'll get into in the next slide, which is basically a breakdown of seasonality. Now, in Bar Harbor, there's unpredicted weather changes are very prominent. There's an increase and decrease in why ice cream is affected by the weather, and closures during the winter months means less time open of overall to make profit. Now, so basically in Bar Harbor, some stores will shut down during the winter because they don't see it as very profitable. So if you are one of the rare ones that is open, like an ice cream shop is during winter time, you might get more business. Hence why I had more gallons of ice cream throughout that time because I was taking that into consideration where this place is one that is open during the winter months. And always in Bar Harbor, you never know when it's going to rain, when it's going to storm, when it's going to be cloudy, when it's going to be sunny. You never know any of that. So that definitely, like one day you might be really, really busy, have so many customers, and the next day it's like a little cloudy and there's nobody on the island. So it really just depends on the weather, and that plays such a big role. And then again, the breakdown of location is located in Bar Harbor, Maine. Limited places open during winter, so being open during that time can be crucial. Very much a touristy area during summer months, which always brings in a surplus of customers. Again, just playing off of that, the summer months are very crucial for when you want the most ice cream and when you are serving the most people because there are so many ice cream shops around that area, but every single one that you go to is always packed. So making sure that you have enough ice cream to just in case sometimes you might get a surplus of customers that come in because the other one was too busy and you're going faster and stuff like that. You always want to make sure that you are prepared for that. And then the level of certainty and changes. And then overall, when it comes to changes made to my original forecast, I kept it the same. I felt like my original predictions were pretty accurate about how it would be during that time. I am about 90% certain about the accuracy of my forecast because I think I took everything into consideration when making my predictions. Again, I'm from Maine. I visit Bar Harbor a lot during the summer, so I definitely know a lot about how tourists, how much of a tourist trap it kind of is, and how popular it can get during that time. And I've seen ice cream lines out the door. Some of them have a lot, some of them don't. Some of them are busy, some of them are not. So I definitely took all of that into consideration. And when I picked this ice cream shop, it was one that had that was open during the winter. So I wanted to take in consideration that some people may visit Bar Harbor during the winter and they may want like a little thing of ice cream just to go along, just to have because people like ice cream, you never go wrong. So I definitely took that into consideration, and it was just something that I really wanted to think about when predicting everything. And that is my final. So thank you.